Let's tune in live into our hot podcast,
Imbawula, Azishe.
Imbawula.
Imbawula.
Azishe.
Imbawula.
Azishe.
Welcome back to your podcast. How are you feeling?
Thank you, baby. I am feeling very energized. I am feeling so energized and I'm fresh. I've restored life in come on.
Post SVRI.
Yes.
How are you feeling, Connie?
I'm just exhausted. It's that time of the year,
Yes.
end of the year, where at least everybody's wrapping up. So I'm really exhausted.
And we have my fave joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Azishe.
Azishe.
Hi everyone, my name is Lungelo. I'm so tired.
And Lungelo, where are you from? Who are you here with?
Jonas.
Yes!
Hey, wow. Lungelo from Imbawula Queer Podcast. Azishe.
Azishe. Sesethu.
Yo, Lungelo is our chief coordinator at Imbawula Queer Podcast. Yeah, she holds us together. And there at the back again, we have Sesethu August.
Behind that
And behind Sesethu August, we have my sister joining us. Watching.
Hello, sister.
Yeah, so I mean, we had episode 1 of Paid for Pleasure, and we spoke about, your expectations. We had Megan joining us. Megan's going to Thailand.
Megan's going to Thailand.
So that's why we don't have Megan here with us today. But Connie and Pam are going to give us a full recap of what happened at SVRI. But before we even get there, I just want you guys to remind us again, a little bit, just a young blurb of why we even wanted to have this podcast and why Sweat wanted to be at SVRI.
Sweat wanted to be part of SVRI because we saw SVRI actually needs sex workers there. SVRI needs to be talking more on not just women issues and children, but each and every issue that is around everyone who identifies as a woman. You don't have to be mama ka papa ukuze kube kanti uyi woman, you understand? So we wanted to add the sex worker voice there.
Yeah.
And I want to say we did make sure.
I saw. We saw it all over social media. Your presence was found. Definitely. Connie, just a young why SVRI, why this podcast series, any of those two?
The reason is that there is a lot of exclusion, and most of the time we like to emphasize on intersectionality. SVRI, looking back on the other conferences, we felt like there is a huge gap into that, especially around the sex workers are talking about the sex workers issues on the ground, especially on the ground level. It's not only the sex workers, but many other marginalized community, they kind of not excluded in the discussion. And as an academic high level conference also, it kind of been very challenging to access it. So when the opportunity came, we felt like, let's just grab it and be there and find ourselves and see how best can we pursue our
I love that.
Our own struggling,
Yeah, I love that, and I think the fact that you mentioned that it's like this really, it's a research institute. It's this highly academic place, and sex workers are one of the most highly researched. Like they extracted from a lot. Researchers extract a lot, but then they don't want to invite you into these spaces. So now that we know why, take us through the journey from day 1 of SVRI to Ning Ning Pam is on stage. Ning Ning Lungelo's there infiltrating SVRI podcast. Like, what happened? How was everything? How were you received? How were you received as sex workers? Did you make connections? There were dates. Yeah.
Oh, Shine, I was so dry the whole time. But anyway,
You didn't even meet someone, Kamohelo?
0.
Yo.
SVRI 1 bor. But anyway, I don't want to lie to you. In those days, we were so panicking. Do you know that even booking of rooms couldn't find because it was full. Like because there was marathon that was happening. Was it Comrade Marathon or something?
Yeah.
So there was a marathon and people, because even though Sunday was their last day, they had to extend their stay and went to see Cape Town, apparently. So we couldn't find the venues, the accommodations, but yeah, we tried and we actually did make it to the first opening. And it was great, but guys, I don't know, it was so...
No shot or something.
Yes, it didn't have that Yabona when there's other conferences, that your LGBTQI conferences and everything, you can feel the surrounding.
Yeah.
That one, it felt so... It smells of Oxford books or some kind of vibes.
That's academia.
It's very academic.
Very exclusionary.
And Abanda, they were there, but you'll feel you can't connect with this person. Girl, there is your Pam loud and everything, and then you're like, you can't even make a small joke or anything, like those kind of things.
It's very snooty.
You know,
and
so for me it was like that. And also the topics were very heavy, were heavy and not inclusive to us. Like, for instance, the introduction of the session, hey guys, they spoke about pornography. So they were like, pornography is what leads to violence because they portraying violence, and it was all about the BDSM things and being dominatrix and everything.
You know, Marique's master's thesis was on BDSM.
Really?
Yeah, like a legal framing of BDSM.
We needed
and
Marique there.
Yeah.
We needed Marique there. As of there's some bullshit because wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, most of the things the busy portrayal is about, it's all about paper and everything, about researchers, and you're like, I can't even say.
The voice on the ground wasn't present.
You know, there was not that thing of, here is our people that you're talking about. Now I'm all about that. Groundbreaking. Like, we met these things, we went to this, and not to go and say that, go this percentage and this percentage, and you're like, I don't feel counted in this percentage, but anyway.
It's not my experience.
You know,
we are but this is not my experience, and I have the lived experience.
Yeah, like there was a lot, and now you have to be stressed with these things. Isn't the guy about, we have these things, like when you go into the exhibition areas, you go to these rooms, you're phone on their stalls, and you find there is really, like, literally all of those organizations. It was my first time finding groups zonke that were there. There was nothing about sex work and everything and women and everything.
But it's all these marginalized.
But it's all these marginalized things. And I'm like, man, there was even this other store that I saw. I wrote because they have like a paper, a cloth where you write whatever message you want to write as a woman and everything. So I read all of them. There's not even one person who spoke about sex work, and I had to make sure that I put my thing.
Oh, is that the clip that I put?
Yeah. Because I was like, babes, this needs to be bright, and I need to make something bold that's gonna be thing, because we're gonna. I'm gonna ask for that thing, because they were like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I'm like, yes, it must be beautiful, so that SVRI must add sex workers and sex work in their things, in their research, so that we can also feel included, because babes, like, there's a lot going on there. Even
but you know what I think is beautiful with that, including that clip that's in the trailer for episode 1, is that we've named the episode SVRI, a sex worker was here.
Yes.
So when someone looks for SVRI, sex work will come up. If they do enough of a deep dive or they search SVRI and queer, sex work will come up.
When after I had to go and perform also with the performances, our South African artists from Cape Town were not included. Like the people that we know from our groups were not included there. We got other people that you don't understand to sing our songs. This is not supposed to be it. Like there is things like you can't bring someone to come and portray something else. Like for instance, you can't bring someone to go and talk about sex work who is not a sex worker. You understand? Yeah. So it's the same thing. So when I got the platform to go and sing, because I'm like, there is nothing else that I can do, and let me just go and voice up my voice. And I was so pissed at myself, but I was so happy.
No, but you did you got a whole article about you.
I was only pissed because I forgot to say after my closing thing, that SVRI includes sex workers, because that was supposed to be my closing, so that sex workers can give the vibes, baby. Sex workers are there to do the things, you know?
It was a time to shine also.
She brought the stage down, guys. Cody, what was your experience?
For me, my experience, what struck my eyes in the first place was that I was so excited to the SVRI, like I'll be there, first time in my life, and I enter there and I manage it, and I enjoy the experience. But unfortunately, on the first day, it was like a storm in my mind and think, what are we doing? Who are we? Why are we here? Because we managed to register online and it was quite expensive, almost like a 12 grand. Now you want to access the sections because we're interested to see what opening and explain to us why are we here. We missed the opening, which was the biggest thing for us, for the first timers, but we're gonna be there. We didn't go to the opening because of the money. You register the conference. And at the same time, that's the same time we were fighting with Ilka. And I realized the same time we have to fight.
You're having that experience.
Same experience that we have been fighting, that the globally conferences, they come and host it in Africa, but they don't give us an opportunity to attend the space. So I realized that in the first day, the first section, that was like a very big thing for us, like to learn and understand what's going to happen the whole weekend and what is going on, what is the purpose of the conference. We missed the section because for you to enter, you have to pay a certain amount. As we were seated outside trying to brainstorm, like what next now since the day is booked, thinking opening laptops and start working. At the same time, we are trying to find our accommodation. A funder came to us and said, guys, this is bullshit. Sorry to call it out. Because we paid money to host this conference as well, but we are not allowed to the section.
Not a whole funder.
Yes. If the people who have the really things, the money, cannot access to the conference, what about we?
You know,
what are we supposed to do right now? And what I like about your statement, she was like, it doesn't make sense for us to pay for the sections. Why are we paying for the conference?
You're already here.
Paying for the sections. So it's unfair.
It's very unfair.
Other ways, it was like a scam. And what's so painful on the day, on the same day, the LGBTQI conference, which aligns section, which aligns with the sex worker. So we missed that section. It was the only LGBTQI section. So we didn't attend it because we have to pay. And which maybe we could have an opportunity to raise the issues around the sex worker in that section. But we were not allowed. We didn't enter because of the money. Not just the money. It was a lot of money. So then the other thing, second day, I saw that we are kind of allowed to enter the sections, and the sections are for free. But I was so excited that at least tomorrow we'll see the sections. The discussion alone all the discussion in each and every section we're jumping in and out, it's more academic. And what pisses me off is that actually they were not even touching about the issues on the ground. It was speaking on a high level discussion. And it's so painful and so sad that you are seated in the room, people are discussing about you, people are talking about you and did research about you and come and present it about you. You understand?
That's fact.
So it was really so painful to experience that. And at the same time, looking at SVRI, it's more a feminist space that we said we as women we are lifting up each other together. But it was totally an exclusion and division. Depending on your class, your race, and whatsoever. There is no kind of the intersectionality that we are looking forward to see. Then we are like, hey, we have to live with that. Now the only thing that we can do, I told my colleagues that I'm chasing the funders. It seems there is a lot of money here.
Let's find it.
Let me just use this networking. Let me not waste this opportunity to meet. And I'm so glad because two of my funders, they were there. I haven't met them in person. So it was the first time to connect in person. I've been communicating with them for years. So it gave me that kind of a privilege opportunity. And also to kind of network with the different funders. At the end of the day, when I came back, I found out that I've got a lot of funders contact and whatsoever. And I attended a lot of funders meetings because that was my aim, that was my focus. Because at least when we're focusing more into funders, I was accessing the space and everything, the dinners for free. So which was an opportunity for me to work up. I was looking so kind of invitations around and make sure that I'm getting involved in those spaces. The only thing that I was unhappy, it was on Action Agent Fund. The last day of the conference, they hosted the meeting. I'm so glad it came up on the discussion that this space was totally so exclusion. It came up on the discussion and their feminist funders and they see that this wasn't on.
It was not a safe space.
They raised it up in the room and the discussion, and it was more a regional discussion. I'm speaking now on an African context that it seems it's not just the sex workers, but also the Africans felt like we're not left behind. Outside. The research was speaking more academic European kind of a style, not speaking on the African context. I'm glad that it came out because it's the other thing that we never see it coming. We always think of our countries and not see that sometimes it affects us as a region, not just as a country.
Not just Cape Town.
So for me, it was a great experience, but I made it clear in the room that I was going to write a long, loving letter to SVRI and raise my concern because I'm not going to keep quiet. This is not on. The only opportunity that we have as South Africans, and it was taken away from us, not speaking about the people who didn't afford 12,000. There were a few couple of us, those who were there, they were paid by funders, obviously from Europe or somewhere else. All of us, the people on the ground that we are mostly affected, it totally excludes us. And they are using our story, using our pictures, because there are some pictures I saw in the room that are being used. And then the other thing that I did for myself, I felt like I was proud of, is just to assist around SRJC, because they were part of their researchers, so they did the Say Abortion Access Service report that they recently launched. So I was just hanging out there and assisting them in and out.
I love that, and I think it's interesting that you brought the pavement special up, because I think one of the conversations that came up there was the fact that this thing of having, because you said to me like it was like Africans as a whole felt excluded, and I'm thinking when we did our research, if I'm not correct, SVRI started in South Africa.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, why would it not have a South African or even an African element to it? But it's because all the money is coming from the colonists.
Yes.
If we're being very direct, and it's being directed here, and they then have the power to say that this is who gets to be in the room, regardless of whether it's on African soil or not. And I think when you parallel the special and you parallel attendance of the SVRI, you see that it's actually this global conferencing space on its own as a whole is very problematic, and it needs to sort of, they need to reframe how we are doing conferencing. But when you add that layer of research and academia, it just is completely exclusionary. Because I was shocked when you said that there was only one, because LGBT work is like a buzz thing now.
Yes.
That there was only one session. So meaning there was a very binary focus on cis women when talking about sexual violence, as if they're the only people that experience.
Even the food.
Yeah.
The first day there was no lunch.
Hey guys, what do you
It was a mess.
There was no food, like for the whole day. There was no breakfast, there was no lunch. There is only one cafe.
For everybody.
For everyone. So on lunchtime, there is this very, very long line to go and buy to this cafe to buy something to eat.
Where was this hosted?
In CDICC. In CDICC too. So
not just expensive as well. Expensive.
Very expensive. You buy your coffee, get 38 rand or something, and you're like, is this really what I paid for? So I'm here to pay for my own coffee, for my own breakfast. Like, there was a lot going on there. Also, they had like a funders thingy. Always when there's funding session thing, everyone wants to come and understand about funding and everything. Baby, that room, small, cold room.
Oh, to tell you that you're not welcome.
People were packed. It's a very small room because everyone wants to understand
What's
what
happening.
must we do about funding and everything. It was packed. You couldn't even move. You don't know whether you're sweating because you're hot or you're sweating because it's too hot or you're also freezing or something. You don't know what's going on. So you can't even focus. People were standing by me. Like you have to find your own spot to listen to them. And I was like, nah, I can't. You know, when there is actually a place where you're supposed to learn something and then you're like, I actually can't. I cannot even come to this.
It's not conducive.
It's not doing anything. Even one of the funders was like to us, no, that's fucked up. You understand? So now you don't understand whether was that the biggest room or we came from a biggest room to that
another one.
room.
Yeah.
So there was like,
there was a lot.
It was a lot. But shame,
it is what it is. Okay, someone here has been a little bit quiet, and as Imbawula, we sent a spy to check in on you guys.
And she was actually a spy that day. She entered as a spy that day.
So I want to hear her experience of dipping in and spying on SVRI, and you paid for pleasure at SVRI.
Hey, that is spy. But I think most of the things Pam and Mrs. Constable has touched on, I think one of the things that I've noticed there was no connection. Like there were different stalls and few people engaging even on the stalls. I remember we went to this stall and then Pam with his vibe and energy, he just went there and then he took over the stand. She was the presenter of that stall. You see, so I was like, Bana, if people are here and then like the community organization are not here to get the information, so what's the use of that conference? But also like I think on the first day they did notice that like most people were not able to attend some of the sessions, maybe because of they had to register, and then they did open some of the sessions for you to come even if you are like not part of the SVRI. Because I remember registering for one for funding on gender-based violence. But then when I went there, they were like, you have to go to the registration. And I look at the registration, the queue is very long, and I'm like, it's gonna end while I'm waiting to register. To get, like the access thing, and I was like, this is so like it's not inclusive at all. But But also, I think what I like was that Pam did did make the stand that sex workers are here. I remember us going upstairs to a podcast, and we're like, we are Imbawula podcast, and this is what we do, and we would like to see the room.
Yeah,
they were angry.
Really?
You're not supposed to enter here. We are entering. We are entering this place.
Oh, that's where that came from.
We
Okay.
entered, babes. Like, we also a podcast. We know about podcasts.
We know about
We're not gonna break anything.
And then they're like, you can come back. And then we went around the conference, and then we saw, on our way out, we saw the SVRI store, and everyone was like, this is where we're going. I wanna ask them, why are we not included? They must tell us, and they must promise that they will include us. That's when we started to do that episode where they were explaining what is the conference about, and like what are we hoping to see. And also Pam did say, you must make sure.
You know what I love?
Nice. Sex workers must be included.
They must be invited. We don't want to apply. We want to be invited in this space.
Into this space.
You know, and Shem, I don't want to lie. Clara is very amazing. She was like, oh my God, actually, I was been thinking about including sex workers and sex work and everything. But it's just that we didn't find organization. And then I'm like, hello, sweat all over. And then you're telling me, you know, then they were like, she was like, okay, let me give you my email address and everything. I'm like, give them to me. She literally wrote
Did she
them.
give?
She did, Shem, she did. And
Well
also,
done, Clara.
And also she's, well done, Clara. Well done. And also she was part of the people for my performance. She is also part of the SVRI because she's in comms, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great, and I don't want to lie. Good work for real, baby girl. You did it.
Yeah.
But I'm having hopes for next year.
I have hopes too.
I'm having hopes.
Because Clara did commit on camera. We have it on TikTok, on YouTube,
have it
everywhere. So
Clara, we have
they can't say we never promised. We literally have evidence. Oh, I love that. So speaking of the performance, the stage, the one that came with a very hectic article.
I was young.
How did that happen?
So, as I did say before with Kamohelo,
Yeah.
you know, when you're sitting down, firstly, they said that, listen to this, they said it's an African Kasi style vibes, right? The theme. When we got there, you know, almost when we told about African Kasi style, we were like, okay, there's Nigerian people, there's Ugandan and everything. Maybe there's gonna be like a cuisine of African meals and everything.
Cuisine.
Baby, when we got there, guess what's the cuisine? Fish and chips.
Oh, wow.
Bougie ass fish and chips. And I'm like, what are we eating? Did we miss dinner or anything? They were like, no, babes, go down there and get your fish and chips and slap chips.
After charging 12K.
We got there, and you can see that this one is made by Auntie Wat Wat. You know that fish and chips by Auntie Wat Wat. And I'm like, what African feeling are we giving here? Is this Cape Town that eat fish until you pop up your teeth or something? And we're like, okay, no, it's cool, let's chill. We chilled and we listened to music and everything. It started with other songs, and I'm like, I feel like these songs, you know, when you see someone and you're like, I so wish if this person was singing this song, if this person was singing this song. And then, baby, they played Brenda Fassie. I'm like, no, ma'am, you can't.
Brenda Fassie.
You can't sing Brenda Fassie for me. I will never let you sing Brenda Fassie for me. I went there, grabbed the mic, I sang, and because we were just singing as an audience and everything, right? Then I say, because I'm like, she was waiting for me to give the mic. Then this other performer was like, go on stage. I'm like, okay, whom are you calling from Brenda Fassit there, and then there was this second person I was singing with, and then when you're singing, and then another song pops out,
and you're like,
Mafiki Zolo. I'm like, I even started with the pen, bam bam bam.
Yes.
And then I was like, baby, Mafiki Zolo, I'm doing weputi. You're not gonna come with weputi.
Yeah.
We want weputi when we want weputi. So. Saying it was beautiful. I didn't think that it was gonna take a very big highlight like that, but it did, and I was very grateful, and I felt so happy. And I did say that I forgot to say.
I think it was the highlight, and it was the highlight of SVRI because beyond the fact that obviously we asked you what's happening, and, we're gonna talk about the content creation thing. But now it came across my timeline, just scrolling on Twitter, and it didn't come from like an Imbawula or Sweat.
Yeah.
I think it was AWDF that actually tweeted it, but linking it to someone else that wrote this article about you. So I was like, okay, so this was the highlight
Babes,
of SVRI.
People were sending me links.
They mentioned that Pam was.
They tagged you, Pam, and her Twitter account that's not active.
Say what?
They tagged you and your non-active Twitter account.
But really?
Yes.
Hey, see? People were actually sending me things, what you call the links, like, man, you're Mrs. Celebrity now. And I'm like, where? When you act like, I actually loved everything about that article. I did not everything.
Yeah.
Like the Nandipa. Babes already in South Africa as a whole, being a Nandipa is someone who is fat, but this Nandi kind of thing. You see those old thingies. And then I was like, I so wish this Nandi name Isuke and everything, but because they already posted it and everything. I was like, let me not even tell them what does it mean. Let me just let them be, but please use my name. Because I did consent that, baby, use my name. I'm not a Nandi, and I will never be a Nandi. Use my name.
Your name.
But it's okay.
Use my name.
Use me. So I was like, no, it's cool. And I actually loved it. I loved the whole article about that. It was so dramatic though, but I was like, I love it.
I think that's why I'm not even like, I forgot to say sex work thing. I'm like, if I see that, I'm like, okay, who's this person on Aling Vibe? I look at the account that's tagged, sex work is gonna come up. So you've used a performance art, whether it was impromptu or whether it was planned, as a way to advance sex work and the struggle for decrim. Because, and I think that's what you guys were trying to say in the first episode, was that like our presence there, just the mere presence, can bring about a lot for the movement. And I feel like it did. I feel like it did, to be quite honest,
Your work is always linked to your face.
To you, right? So who's Pam and Jekula, sweat is gonna come up, you know what I mean?
And they must look for you, but next day you must look for me as a performer, SVRI. SVRI, as a performer, book me.
I love that, because the other thing I thought of, I was like, okay, it's gonna be Pam, it's gonna be Sweat, next thing you know, it's the sex worker theater, that's how the internet works, you know, you go down a spiral. So I don't think it was a missed opportunity. I actually think it went really well. One of the other things that you guys said you wanted to do, I mean, you guys, the description that you're giving to me sounds very, very stressful. Is you said you wanted two things, right? And I'm directing this to Connie, was to have a moment to rest and breathe and not always be about the work and have some self-care elements. And then the other part was you guys wanted to challenge yourselves to do like a content creation type thing and give us video diaries, right? I want to ask if you feel like you were able to do those things.
Are we being called out?
I'm not calling you out. I am just asking, do you feel like you were able to do those things? And if not, you can say, but you know what, the space did not allow. I mean, you guys did anticipate, but it's a conference. We, like you said, I had to then go chase funders. like you did anticipate that it might be a challenge. But even if it's a little bit, I mean, you guys told us there, but it was like an affirmation station. How did you feel about that?
Bring youth, bring people, ideas, give people chances.
Yeah.
Just to add on what Pema she's just mentioning, actually she's talking a really valid point because most of the time we always talk about the issues that happening. We don't discuss about the solution. We need to start now talking about how to eliminate the spirit of oppression because it's kind of we have normalized and accepted the spirit of oppression and we think like it's a normal thing to discuss about those things, which is not the right way to go about it. And the advocates work that we are doing as the society to build a healthy society, we need now to think about the future. As we are bringing the young people, the advocates we are doing for the next generation. We are no longer doing for ourselves. So it's one of the things that we need to keep away and say, let's talk about the future we are building here. We are no longer, because our time we are living right now and our time is existing now. What happens to the new generation? What happens to the future? Even we are calling the decriminalization of sex work. Ourselves, we are surviving. We have survived the police brutality, police harassment, the GBV and everything. We are in it. We are building this to the next generation because we don't want them to live our experiences. We need to eliminate that spirit of oppression, which is kind of we have normalized in our society and say, it's fine, we are oppressed, we are women, we are raped, and we find it so good. Can people and even their researchers start discussing about the solutions? Can you bring in the room and talk about the solutions? Okay, those people that you are using their stories, some of us, we don't want to remind the past. You are reminding us, you make me feel more vulnerable when you are talking and presenting my story. And if it hasn't happened to her, to Lungelo, we can't feel it, but if it has happened to me, I can feel it when Lungelo is talking about it. That I feel like he's saying, otherwise, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You make me feel bad again, which I'm trying to heal from that process. So that kind of oppression needs to be eliminated totally. Let's find the solution. Let's come to this basic. Let's do the research and say, in our research, we are researching a solution of stopping the harassment of the sex workers. This is our funding. This is the way forward. This is what we're going to do. It's kind of giving us a faith and a hope to live and build a healthy society, not to build an angry and tear-off society.
Okay. I'm gonna ask Lungelo to also give us a what can SVRI and close us off.
I think I did mention that these global conferences, they must start including the local organization and also making sure if they do sessions, they don't just do just for the academia, but they must think about someone that comes from a culture, for them to be able to engage and also to come up with solutions, even though these are research-based sessions or presentations that they're going to come in with, but they must make sure that there is an inclusivity in language also, so that people can be able to get some takeaways, but also to be able to share and relate to those stories. Because you've been saying that they are speaking on behalf of the people, while people that are being affected are on the ground and they don't even know or understand what they wrote about them.
Okay. Thank you so much for sitting with us. Paid for Pleasure is coming back soon. I know it, and I think this is Imbawula for the year.
Yes.
Okay, for the last time this year, Imbawula.
Imbawula.